Hello and welcome back to another Doctor Who action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at one of the latest 3 packs from B&M, which is the 9th Doctor Collector's Set, featuring the 9th Doctor as a hologram, Rose Tyler, and the 9th Doctor. As ever, before we get into these figures, let's take a look at the packaging. As usual, the figures are packaged in the standard window box, featuring the current series style guide with the new series logo, the greyed out TARDIS, and the gold limited edition foil sticker. The back of the box gives us a synopsis about the 9th Doctor's era, as well as letting us know which figures are inside the set. So out of the box, we have our 3 figures, our 2 9th Doctors, and our new variation of Rose Tyler. This set was kind of a surprise to me. I didn't really know what we were going to be getting with this one. I kind of assumed it wasn't going to be 3 9th Doctors like we had with the 8th Doctor set. But I tried to have a little guess and I thought, well, maybe we might end up with something like a standard 9th Doctor, perhaps the 9th Doctor on the War Doctor's body, like a post-regeneration War Doctor. That would have been cool. Even perhaps the 9th Doctor's head on the 8th Doctor's body, repainted in the outfit that he wears on his trip to the Titanic that we see in Rose. You know, so just something a bit more out there, but, you know, something that we see on TV. Obviously, we didn't get that. Let's go down the line. We'll start off with our hologram 9th Doctor. This figure is completely reusing the original sculpt of the neutral pose 9th Doctor that we've seen many times over the years. He has been completely cast in a light blue clear plastic, and he's got a slight dark wash over the hair to bring out the hair details. He's got a slightly dark paint job over the eyebrows, his pupils, and his lips, just to bring out some of the details of his face. And then, of course, he has these scan line effects across the entirety of his body to give him that full hologram look. I'm really glad we have this figure because this is an iconic scene from Parting of the Ways, and it was kind of supposed to come out many years ago. There were prototypes leaked of the original disco dancing 9th Doctor cast in a clear plastic as a hologram figure, and it was never released, but they were floating around. I'm sure quite a few people have got them in their collections. I don't, sadly, so I can't do a comparison. Overall, I'm really glad that we've got this. The clear plastic is very effective. We saw them use this effect on the Invisible Dalek, and the details of the sculpt still come through. The jacket still looks pretty good. You know, you can see all of the buttons and the pockets and the creases and the details of the lapels. So it works really well. And this isn't the first time we've had a hologram Doctor. We had the 10th Doctor hologram that came out as initially, I think, a BBC Shop exclusive. And it was also released in the US. Again, the US version, which is the version that I have because I just thought it looked better, has the same scan line effect. And I'm really glad I've got it because, as you can see, when you've got the two side by side, although the 10th Doctor has more of a glittery effect, which I think would have been really cool here with the 9th Doctor, it would have just given it an extra bit of pizzazz, I guess. If you have the two side by side, you can see the scan lines match, which is a really cool effect. If you remove the jacket, you can see more of the intricacies of the insides of the figure, and you can sort of see it a bit around the back. It's not as noticeable as compared to the Dalek, but overall, it still works really well. Let's take a break from 9th Doctors and look at the second figure of the set, which is Rose Tyler. I was kind of surprised to see this Rose Tyler make a return again. She's still going strong since 2005, which is quite amazing after all this time. What can I say about this figure that hasn't been said before, really? I mean, the face sculpt for Billie Piper, it's not the best, especially when you compare it to the Series 2 version. The hair has been cast in a sort of softer rubbery plastic, but it's been cast in like a pale yellow, and then they've added more yellow over the top and a dark wash just to make it seem a bit more realistic and a bit more natural. Then we move down to the torso. The thing that I really should point out is that this is actually a new variant of that Series 1 Rose. This is the outfit that she wears at the end of Rose and then into the End of the World. What I will say is that the actual hoodie looks more purpley than this. I believe the colour also continues onto the inside of her sleeves, which you don't get that here. Again, I understand that the paint applications here are going to be limited. It's probably kind of awkward to do with this particular Rose with her weird arms and stuff. Other than that, you know, you've got some nice detailing with they've painted the zipper silver. In fact, if you look round the back, it might not show up very well on camera, but you can actually see they've added a wash to the grey. So they've just tried to update the paint apps and tried to do something with her, I guess. And then going down to the legs, they've also done the same thing again, where although it's just blue denim, they've given it like a purpley wash over the top just to try and accentuate the fact that these are supposed to be jeans and give it a denim effect. And then, of course, those finish off with her white trainers, which, can't really see because they're covered up by the massive flares of her jeans. Obviously, everyone knows the story behind this Rose. Why does she look like this? Well, she was never meant to be an articulated figure, originally a PVC figurine, and then they gave it articulation, which means that's why she's got the weird pose and the weird articulation at the elbows and stuff. If anything, I'm amazed to see that she's still being released after all these years. It's quite a feat. So well done to that figure of Rose Tyler. And then finally, we have our new Ninth Doctor. So this one's really interesting because it has a brand new head sculpt, it has a brand new coat sculpt, and it has completely fresh deco. So this is quite an interesting variant, really. So the Ninth Doctor's head, I always liked the original version. This one is... how can I describe it? It's slightly smilier, it's a lighter, sort of happier, not as pensive looking Ninth Doctor, and it looks really great. I think it's a really strong likeness for Christopher Eccleston. If you look round to the back with the hair, you can see they've given it a light brown wash over a darker brown just to accentuate it and make the hair sculpt stand out. One of the things I did notice with this one, however, is that his mole is missing on his cheek. Perhaps Christopher Eccleston didn't want his mole on his cheek on the figure. Who knows? But that was the one thing that I did notice. But actually, I've got to say, I really like this version of the head, and I think the paint apps are really fantastic, especially around the eyes. The eyes are full of character. Then we move down to the jacket, which, of course, like I said, is also different. Now, I must speak as I think this looks great. It hangs very well. I think the paint applications here work really well too. It's brown with a lighter brown wash. I guess it's probably more accurate to what we see on screen, because I think some of the other Ninth Doctors that we've had, the jacket's almost been black with a wash over the top. So now that this is a dark brown, I think that works better. And I do think that the jacket looks like it hangs better. It looks like it hangs on him more naturally than perhaps the other sculpt. But what I will say about this sculpt is that I miss the leather effect in the sculpt itself. If you look at that hologram one, or if you look at the 8th Doctor from the Dark Eye set earlier this year, you can see it's got that real sort of weathered leather effect, and that's just missing on here. It feels sort of smoother. So that's my only criticism of the sculpt. Otherwise, I think it works really well. Underneath, he's wearing his purple jumper, which I think he wears in Aliens of London. I forget, someone will point it out to me. And then if we move down, he's wearing a pair of what looks to be jeans. These are in blue with a light wash over the top, which really accentuates that denim effect, much in the same way as it does on the Rose Tyler figure. Now, from what I understand, this isn't from a story in particular on the television. This is from a comic book cover. There's a comic book cover where it kind of looks like it's an action figure card with a Ninth Doctor figure in a bubble, which is great. That's a really cool cover, which is fine. But I think, for me, given that he now has a new head sculpt, I think I would have much rather seen the new head sculpt used on an actual TV version of his outfit. Now, of course, I understand that all the TV versions have been exhausted. Perhaps the Dalek costume, he's got that green jumper with the zip up the middle. I'd have loved to have seen them release it like that with the new head sculpt, because that way the original San Diego Comic-Con exclusive still remains an exclusive, but it would also then give collectors who missed out on that Ninth Doctor, like myself, an opportunity to get that figure in some form. So that is my only criticism, really, is that I kind of wish that this new head sculpt was used on an actual TV Ninth Doctor. So the Ninth Doctors in this set are exactly the same in terms of articulation, so I'll use the actual visible one. We have articulation at the head that turns left and right. We have pivoting shoulders that rotate all the way around. Articulation at the bicep, which again do 360s. A pivoting elbow, which moves up and down. Articulation at the wrists, which do 360s as well. Then we have articulation at the waist, which again can turn from side to side. Not really hindered too much by the PVC, because the PVC of this jacket, compared to the previous Ninth Doctor jackets, is a lot softer and a lot more pliable. You have pivoting hips, which go out to the front, out to the sides. There's no articulation at the thighs, but we do have the pivoting knees, which go back and forth. Then, of course, we have Disco Dancing Rose with her very limited articulation. Articulation at the head is basically null and void because of the length of the hair, and the PVC piece is quite firm. The shoulders pivot
back and forth, so you get a bit of arm movement there. Of course, we then have the very bizarre side pivots for the elbows, swiveling back and forth outwards rather than up and down. Articulation at the waist, which goes all the way around, should you wish to. And then you have articulation at the hips, which can pivot back and forth.
Overall, I like it. I think that the hologram Ninth Doctor is great. I do like this new version of the Ninth Doctor with the new head sculpt and the new jacket. And then with Rose, I think the fact that they've given her a new variant rather than just re-releasing the same version of Rose, that's commendable. I like that, and I think, at least it adds something new. So that's my thoughts on the Ninth Doctor set. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Especially let me know what you think about the new Ninth Doctor head sculpt. Do you think it looks better? Do you think it looks worse? I really like it, but I'd be really interested to know what you think overall. And are you glad that it's not just the Ninth Doctor with 3 different colours of jumper on, which I know a few people thought we were going to get. So I'm glad we didn't get that, and I'm glad we got something, that's quite interesting, really. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you all soon for another action figure review. Bye-bye.